My name is Dana Levy. I'm here in Utah in the United States, where it's 8:30 a.m. and it's supposed to be 100 degrees Fahrenheit here, which is really body temperature without the moisture. Thank you so much for joining. And I hope that some of you have had the opportunity to experience classes with some of the other amazing instructors who are teaching in Zoom around the world. If not, please access the recordings. Those of you who are watching these recordings, please enjoy them and listen and watch and find your way into embodying ease. So I'm a yoga teacher and a yoga therapist, and I have a background in dance and martial arts. And I'm not going to teach you a particular style of anything. This class is called Curiousit-ease, and hopefully by the end you'll understand why it was named that. I wanted to, first of all, thank Paul Cohen for organizing this amazing event, and also my actual host. You'll see Fiona here, and thank Fiona for introducing me to this. So a few practicalities. Well, the main one is that you have choice, and I know some of you have chosen to keep your cameras off, which is fine. You're also welcome to turn your camera on at some point. So you might be asked to unmute yourselves and interact somewhat. Please feel free to do that. All of you who've used Zoom probably know how to use the chat. So if you have questions, you can open the chat box and put in a question, and Fiona might let me know. Or you can write answers if I ask you questions, because I'm going to ask you some questions during this. You're welcome to use the chat box to communicate. You don't have to just unmute yourself. All right, I think that's it. Oh yeah, so I'm going to ask you to get some props. If you find in your house a tennis ball or two, or a can of beans, that will work. You might have to run to your kitchen. Something round that rolls and is small enough that it's easy to put a body part on it. And the second prop is a thick book or a yoga block or two, if you have that. If you happen to have a large dictionary, that'll work. Great. You could use a grapefruit or an orange for your round thing, but then you have to be quite gentle. And then you might want to have some kind of a firm blanket that you can use later on for support as well. And we'll use those. So I want to talk for a second. The theme is embodying ease. So my question then for you, first question is, what does it mean to be embodied? As you have a think about that, one of my favorite pictures, I didn't bring it upstairs, is a picture of a human body with a disconnected head, and a second picture of a human body with a head connected to it. So we tend to think of ourselves as heads on top of bodies, and that our body is a little bit like a brain taxi, like it carries our brain around. But I'd like for you initially, as you sit here for a moment, just to consider that you are all one, that the mind is the body and the body is the mind. The body is the gross expression of what we do in the mind. And the mind is the subtle expression of what we do in the body. We tend to think of exercise and movement as something that we do to the body, or that we do with our body. Maybe after a nice experience like a yoga class or a movement class or a swimming or some activity, we say, oh, I feel so much more in my body. And I think that's very funny, because you're always in your body. I'm always in my body. But we're not always aware of ourselves as a body. So it's more than just being aware of having a body, because we don't have it, we are it. So how do we function? How do we move as a body as opposed to doing things to it? and with it. That's part of our inquiry. And that allows us to kind of take responsibility for our experiences rather than being done to all the time. We take responsibility because we're doing things as our body. In the practices that you've experienced already through this 24 hours, and we're on hour maybe like 19 or 17 or something like that, I'm not sure, 13. If you've taken some of the classes already, you've probably felt like you are, you're feeling things happening in your body. And we talk about that a lot as well. But when we sense ourselves physically, then we can take responsibility and make choice for what we're doing in our body, as one of my teachers, Paul Linden, says. And we tend to talk about ourselves, our bodies, in the passive tense a lot. And we say, oh, this happened to my body. I fell down and my shoulder hurt. Right? But I fell down and I made my shoulder hurt when I fell down. We're actually more responsible for the sensations and feelings that we have in our body than we give ourselves credit for. So I'm going to kind of give you that as a little tidbit, and we'll explore that a little bit more moving forward. As you know, the theme is embodying ease. What would happen right now if I asked you to relax? The people that I can see, I see all of this preparatory activity because you have to get ready to relax. It's almost like a performance, right? And what that tells me is you weren't relaxed before, or that you think relaxation is something that we do. It's not. It's something that we either are or we aren't. When I hear a teacher say, please relax, I think, shit, I must be really tense. I can't experience ease until I acknowledge its opposite sometimes. So the first thing I'd like for you to do, as I tell you to relax, is consider for a moment, and you're welcome to close your eyes. If you're comfortable, soften your gaze so that you can see out of your peripheral vision. And notice just how you are at this moment in time. Where are you tense? Where are you kind of collapsing and sagging? Where are you? What are you doing in your body right now? Are you making an effort to sit upright, to pay attention? Can you notice your interior landscape? What the weather is like? Can you sense your breathing and how your breathing is? Do you feel a sense of trepidation, a pulling back, or a sense of anticipation, a moving forward? Is there a feeling of movement in the body-mind that's asking you to go a certain direction, that's drawing your attention? Can you be curious about your current condition, about how you are, rather than trying to fix or do something? And this might be a foreign inquiry for you, which makes it all the more curious. If there were an earthquake right now, what would you do in your body? So I see some people demonstrating it, right? You would feel some shaking. And what would you actually do? Would you soften and expand and open? Or would you tighten and pull in? Our habit is the latter. Clench, Fiona put in the chat. Would that be helpful in that situation? It would make it quite difficult to make a good decision. Please take another deep breath. Really feel that deep breath. You can take more than one. I'm going to say one, but you can take more than one. And if you have an openness to it to your body, if you make openness in your body in an uncertain situation, could you have more ease and more curiosity? I believe that curiosity is an antidote to fear, because to be curious means to be open. And openness is the opposite of the state of contraction. Take a moment next to sense any support with which your body's in contact. So if you're sitting, you might notice the ground or some blankets underneath you. If you're lying, notice what is supporting you, what's touching the back surface of your body, the sides of your body, the front surface of your body. Or if we reverse that concept, what are you touching right now? How is it holding you? What parts of you are in contact with other parts of you? Where are your hands? How do you feel about the support? Is there anything you'd like to change about your relationship to it? Right? That means it's okay to fidget. Can you make your sitting more easeful now that you've noticed, curiously, with curiosity, what's not comfortable? And take your awareness again to your inner landscape. How are you at this moment? Do you feel soft and open? A little bit jittery? Pokey? Or like a marshmallow or a cactus? Do you feel grand and mountainous right now? Can you assess your current situation using a really concrete term? So we tend to use words like excited or nervous or relaxed, and they don't mean anything to me. Can you find a word that's like a texture or a color, something that we could see, hear, smell, touch, or taste? And use that a way to assess how you are. And just make note of that for a moment. Also, as a note for safety here, if you're feeling fragile or not so robust today, you always have the choice to step out of any activity, observe, and please take care of yourselves in this situation. So I'd like to ask you to stand up. And we're going to do, we're going to stand. Let's stand. So I am primarily a yoga teacher, although I introduce other embodied practices. So we're going to do a few yoga poses and then we're going to change them. So stand in what you would consider to be mountain pose. And notice what you do in your body in what you call mountain pose. What do you choose to do in your body in what you call mountain pose? And if you generally take yoga classes, there are some cues or instructions that we usually do. And I'm not going to repeat those. I'm just going to ask you to pay attention to them. And if you haven't practiced yoga, simply stand and notice from the inside what it is that you choose to do as you stand. What do you pay attention to? Is your attention in your feet, your head, your breath, some muscular effort? Is there an impatience, a hesitation, a trepidation? Is it easy to balance here? And then take a deep breath to reset. A couple of deep breaths is fine too. And then I'd like for you to go for a little walk around your room or your space. And what do you pay attention to here? And then come back to stand quietly again. And then I'd like for you to try a balance pose. So what the most common balance pose in yoga is the tree pose. You can do it like this or like this with your foot on the floor, the foot on the calf, or the foot on the inner thigh. You can do something with your arms if you want. Whatever you do, please be safe. And where do you place your attention in this pose? Where's the struggle? Are you doing something on the outside or on the inside? And then relax from your tree pose. This is a little quick inquiry. Maybe take yourself for a little walk up and down your space for a moment. Let that go. And we'll do the other side of tree pose, don't worry. And then try one of these warrior poses. The feet are perpendicular to each other. The front foot and the front knee are facing one direction. The back foot and the back leg are facing the opposite direction. And those of you for whom it's the middle of the night where you live, I promise we'll lie down at the end. And if you do practice yoga, do it in your best, do your best yoga posture here. And if you don't, imitate me and see what it's like. And we should probably do the other side now. So however you'd like to change your feet. Try this warrior two shape on for a second. Maybe it's familiar or unfamiliar. What do you notice as you're in the pose? Where does your attention go? And then relax from that pose. And we'll do the other side of your tree pose. Maybe you've forgotten which side you did first, but you probably did your easy side, your comfortable side. So we're basically making shapes, which is a lot what Western yoga classes are about. Come back to your mountain pose, please. And in a regular Western yoga class too, we do a lot of lifting and pulling and stacking and muscular action and efforting as well that I'm demonstrating here. But today we're going to move a little bit away from that. We're going to work with ease and support and sensing. So let's start with your round object. I asked people to, if you tuned in late, to have a tennis ball or some round object, a can of beans, something like that. If you'll roll your object, and even if it's like a piece of fruit, just don't smash it. Roll it underneath your foot. If you're close to a wall, you can hold on to it and close your eyes. If you're not close to a wall, keep your eyes open so that you can balance, but bring the fullness of your attention to the sensation of the sole of your foot touching this object. You don't have to press really hard unless you want to. And see if you can find some super deliciousness as the sole of your foot rolls across this whatever round object you're playing with, your can of beans. Another thing that you might start to notice is how the rest of your body is moving to help you roll the object. How does the rest of your body support this action? So you're sensing, you're supporting. And the last thing is, how is your breathing? How are you breathing? Go ahead and change feet. Are you breathing in a way that sustains you? Is your breath giving you a sense of kind of safety and security? Remember, please keep your mind in your foot, the sensation in your foot as you observe all this. Breath, support, movement, sensation. Don't forget to roll underneath your toes. If there's a spot you missed or a foot that really wants some more, give that foot a little bit more love here. Then release and stand again. Soften your gaze. Notice your breathing. Has anything changed here in the way that you stand? How do your feet feel? From your feet upwards, what do you notice now? From here, allow yourself, you might want to watch for a second, and I'll get a little tool to demo. I didn't bring a stick, but if this is my feet where my hand is, allow your body to lean and tilt a little bit as one whole piece to the left and to the right, to the front, to the back, even maybe gently circling. So we're not breaking at the hips or the neck or the shoulder or the waist, but keeping a very quiet central axis or midline through the whole body. As you tilt a little bit your weight towards your toes, the outer edges of one foot and the inner edge of another foot, towards the heels, to the left. However, which way you want to go, front and back, left to right. If you're feeling super adventurous, you could try figure eights. As you do that, notice again your feet in contact with the earth. Notice how your feet are now driving the rest of your body. Notice how you breathe. If you'd like to add on another layer, you could even notice your organs sloshing around inside your abdomen, or how you're carrying your heart. And when you're ready, bring yourself back to what we call stillness, although we're never really still. Soften your gaze. And notice how standing in stillness feels now. Has anything changed? And take a deep breath to reset without forgetting everything you experienced. And we'll take another short walk around your mat and around your room. But this time as you walk, and you might want to glance at your screen to see, I'm going to ask you to walk or to play with walking, kind of like the wedding march. So if you'll watch my feet and legs, I'm going to step onto one leg and lift the other leg. So I'm actually balanced here for a second before I step onto the next leg and lift the second leg. So you'll proceed like this around your room or around your space, standing on one foot and then shifting your weight and standing on the next foot. So take a few moments to walk around and see what that feels like. Are you in a hurry? Is there a struggle to balance? How does your support feel? Where is there ease? I think we could make it a little bit easier. When you're ready, come back to center or to your mat or what have you, and find your flat square object, flat square thick object, a yoga block or book or what have you, and step up onto it with one foot and bring your hands to your hip crests here and hold on. So I'm standing on the block with my head over my chest, over my hips, over my foot, over the block. And I have another leg that's hanging. If it's hard for you to stand on your support and balance easily, you're welcome to stand close to a wall and place a hand on the wall. But ultimately, can you let the free leg dangle like a pendulum from its hip? Can you let it swing heavily forward and back without controlling it? Can you maintain an evenness of your breath and a quietness in your head, your chest, your shoulders, your abdomen, your hips? So here's what I notice is people get super excited about this and they really start to move their leg and everything else starts to move. So please take your movement to the smallest possible size that you can so that there's no accessory movement. If you'd like to, you can let your arms hang by your sides if you can. As little extra movement anywhere else as possible. Bring your attention as you swing one leg to the standing foot, leg, the whole of the pelvis, your torso, your head. If you wanted to, you could place your hands on top of your head and see how that is as you swing that leg. Take another deep breath, quiet, small movement, and then step down and try your wedding march again. Don't be in a hurry. Did anything change? Are you listening to yourself enough that you're getting a request to do the second side now? I'm coming close to watch and see the results, those of you who have your cameras on. Would you like to try the second side and see if we can even things up? So here, you're welcome to unmute yourselves if you have some feedback. Just keep it brief if it's helpful. If not, yes, Jenny?
I felt a lot of tightness in my hips.
Okay. Before, during, after?
During, while on the block.
During. Okay.
On the standing leg, like it was struggling to hold to support me.
Okay. And then did it change as you walked?
Yes.
Okay. So it changed to what?
Ease and mobility instead of
Okay.
tight and sore.
Okay, so there was a progression, a transition. Thanks for your feedback. So if you haven't changed legs, so you're standing on the block with the opposite leg, remember, keep the rest of your body, stay quiet. Listen. What's the smallest amount of movement you can do in the hanging leg without disrupting all of the excitement, without allowing that excitement to move through the rest of your body, without moving the rest of your body, right? Do you hear all the different ways of expressing how we talk about our bodies? It's easy to move the foot and the shin and the lower leg. Can you draw your imagination and your attention all the way up to the very top of your leg, the thigh? Can you let your thigh hang like that pendulum? Can you really let it hang? You might even stop waving it and let it hang for a second. Yeah, nice. And then when you're ready, step down and take yourself for your second walk and see how your wedding march goes. Yes. Now, as you continue walking, I'd like to give you a couple of images. Earlier, we tilted our body forward and back and left and right as a whole. So as you walk, as you step onto the new foot, can you bring your body over that new foot? So in essence, walking as falling. Step, lean, step, catch, lean. I'm looking for ease in walking. What less can you do as you walk? Can you sense your weight over the foot? The same as when you were standing on the block with that sense of quiet stillness. And then you're welcome to take it into a regular walk and really walk around the room again as we did at the beginning and see, has your breath changed? Has your awareness of how a possibility, like an inquiry, a possibility for walking that maybe you hadn't explored before with a little bit of ease. Sensing your feet, breathing, quieting, almost falling. And when you're ready, go ahead and bring yourself back to your mountain pose and we'll check in and see how are we? Those of you who have your cameras on, give me a little wave. Like if you're feeling pretty good, maybe you do jazz hands up. I don't know. Jazz hands is a fine way to demonstrate. Did anyone notice any changes? If you did have changes, throw me a yes in some language, body language that I can see. Interesting. Okay. All right. So let's see what happened to our tree poses then. And we'll do this from side to side. So we're going to lumber from side to side. Now that you've got this, your midline, now that you have a nice axis, what happens if you step from side to side and your head comes over your standing foot? And then what happens if you just decided to try to balance there? And you can do formal tree pose, or you can just lift a leg and stand. But what happens is you move through space Are you able, hello, small person. We have a visitor. Sorry, I can see all of you who have your cameras on. Thank you for sharing your images so that I can see what you're working with as well. Nice. Is it easier to come into and maintain and enjoy your tree pose first? And then the second inquiry, for curiosity's sake, for you to play with, and my students are familiar with this, is to stop stepping from side to side, but try your balance pose standing on your rectangular object, on your block or your book. What happens when we raise the floor? Can you still relate to your support? Can you still have an easy midline? Breathe, be present. We've upped the ante now by raising your support. Try one side if it's easy, and by easy I mean simple. You can make it more complicated. You can close your eyes or move your arms. If there's no struggle. Now, if I said, would you relax? I feel like people wouldn't change anything. Yeah. Do change the second side. Yeah, you can give yourselves obstacles and make it harder. If you're super relaxed and just, yeah, I can stand on this block and balance for a year or two, feel free to make it harder. Move your arms, close your eyes, move your leg a little bit more. Can you find ease in this unusual or uncomfortable situation? Breathing is part of cultivating ease. Noticing discomfort is part of cultivating ease. Because if I don't notice the discomfort or the lack of ease or the tension, I can't do a darn thing about it. Nice. And then when you're ready to let this inquiry go, settle into a comfortable forward fold. So I'm gonna give you a couple of suggestions if that's okay. So traditionally, we stand on 2 feet, and feet can be any different width apart, and then we flop forward, right? So I'm gonna give you two or three different concepts. One, a regular forward fold, allowing your upper body to release, maybe bending your knees. 2, if you have discomfort folding forward, and whatever that word discomfort means to you, it may be an emotional hesitation, a psychological hesitation, or a physical hesitation. Say your back feels achy. In that situation, I'd like for you to find a support for your hands or your upper body. So it could be as easy as putting your hands on a block, but it also could be as awesome as finding a chair or a table or a bed and resting here. Because if I'm hanging, I can't let go. I can't find ease. Sometimes I need support in order to find ease. Is that true for you in your own body? And if you're not sure, try both and notice the difference between hanging without support and hanging with support. So the goal is not to do your deepest forward fold, but the goal is to find ease and the ability to let go. If you'd like to give yourself another obstacle or a little bit of discomfort in your forward fold and yet still practice ease, you can do this. Take your rectangular objects and stand up a little higher on them, and then see what happens as you fold forward. So we give ourselves some instability, and don't do this at home unless you're perfectly confident. Sometimes we'll even do it like this, right? I have discomfort because I'm up so high. I'm standing on a chair for those of you who can't see. Can I still find my feet, my legs, and ease and my breath? So I'm practicing finding ease in a potentially uncomfortable, awkward situation. And the reason that I ask, the reason for this is because it's easy to find ease in easy situations. It's hard to find ease in uncomfortable situations. Remember the earthquake question earlier? Notice your breathing. Notice your relationship to your support. I see some great experimenting going on. Notice what you do in your body in relation to gravity, discomfort. Where can you find comfort and ease? And in relation to your support. Good. Val, you might use a wall and rest on it like this. You don't have to go all the way forward. You can rest your upper body, and that can be a letting go too. Yeah. All right. How's everyone doing? Still curious? Feeling different than you were? Finding some new approaches? Should we do another experiment? Getting any new messages as you listen to your physical body? As you listen to yourself? Yes, Cherry. Yes, I can.
My disease is always mental. Like when we talk about balance poses, my mind immediately says, this is hard, I can't do it.
Yes.
Forward bend, I'm great at forward bend. Oh yeah. So if I could turn off my head, I think I could do things a lot more easily.
That's a great observation, Cherry. And I know that we have, I have many students who have the same issue. And here's usually, I don't know, Robin, you could probably answer this as well as me, because Robin is a student in my classes often, and she often struggles with balance as well. Do you have any feedback directly, Robin, from your experiences?
Actually, I think if I don't try so hard, I do better.
Okay. That's a perfect answer, Robin. So part of what I'm
have
asking,
a little bit of fun.
Yeah, part of the mission of this class is to play and to allow ourselves to engage the curiosity so that our mental, what do we call it? Mental workings aren't so powerful. So the second thing that I'll ask you to play with would be, where do you need support and where do you struggle? So if you struggle so really noticing physically where you struggle as you balance. And by that, I mean, where are you wobbling? Is it your ankle? Is it your hips that are wobbling in your balance? Is it your upper body that's wobbling in your balance? How do you support the part that needs support, number one? And number two, how can you create a situation in which you don't have to struggle? And that might just mean putting your back up against the wall so that you have support. Maybe if it's your hips, maybe your hips need the wall. Maybe your head needs the wall. Maybe your elbow needs the wall. Maybe your knee needs the wall. But I'm going to offer you the inquiry, Cherry, of, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, of where can you find support that allows you to no longer struggle so that you can find a sense of ease. Does that make sense?
Thanks, Speak.
Yes.
I find, because I do yoga, I'm an actual teacher, if I put one finger on the wall, that's all I need. But
okay.
That's why I know it is.
As soon as you take it off. Okay, so is everybody okay if we explore this for 1 second? If you're teachers, you might be able to use it with your students. If you're practitioners or just trying to figure out how to get through life more easily, hopefully this will help. Are you familiar with Zeno's paradox? Zeno's paradox is taking something and cutting it in half and cutting it in half again and cutting it in half again and cutting it in half again. It can never get to zero. So I used to go, gosh, this is going to get long-winded. I'm going to try and keep it short because I know we don't have a lot of time. Fiona, keep me on track. So if you're eating a cake and you cut it in half and give half to a friend, and then cut half of what's left and you give half of it away, and cut that in what's left in half and give half of that away, there's always going to be a little bit left, right? I'd like for you to do that with your finger on the wall. So with your finger on the wall, can you decrease the pressure and decrease the pressure and decrease the pressure? Because we tend to go, my finger's on the wall, this is my wall, the side of the screen will be the finger on the wall, right? And then we go, okay, I need to balance, and we take our arm off completely. What's the least amount of taking your finger away from the wall that you can do and still feel confident and not struggle?
I see.
Does everyone understand that concept?
There, yes.
Okay, so I offer that to you. May you play with it for as long as it is helpful for you, and may you share that with others who could benefit from it.
What's this called? Zeno?
Zeno's paradox. I don't know if it's with a Z or an X. Does anyone know? Okay. Let's look at our warrior twos. Let's look at our warrior poses. So some of you are in the daytime, some of you are in the nighttime. If you're in the nighttime, please be discerning that you might be going to bed soon, and don't do your biggest, fiercest warrior, but I'm hoping that you'll still be able to experience what it is that we're going to play with. So in a warrior pose, it's called a warrior pose for a reason, because we need to be fierce. If you'll take your warrior pose and do your fiercest, scariest, most warrior-like pose, observe the sensations that arise in your body that you do. What do you do in your body in your warrior pose? Thank you, Fiona. Zeno with a Z. And how do you do that? How do you make this fierceness? What do you do? What do you choose to do? What actions do you do in your body to create warriorness? Oh, I see some nice adjustments. And can you make it more warriorly? So I'm going to ask you to do the opposite end of Zeno's paradox. Increase by half what you're already doing, and then increase that by half again, and then by half again, until you've, with discernment for your current physical condition, until you have really achieved an even greater exaggeration of what you already do in your body in your warrior pose. Cool. Do any images, thoughts, or emotions arise as you do that? What exactly are you trying to do with yourself to become warriorly? Take a deep breath, come out of the pose, stand for a moment quietly, and notice the reverberation or the ripple effect through yourself. Notice whether you want to fidget. Notice whether heat has risen. Notice whether your feet have changed, your weight on your feet have changed. Take inventory right now. Okay, and let's do the second side, the side that you didn't do earlier. And again, notice what you do in the pose. And now I'm going to ask you to exaggerate only the parts that will help you increase the warriorly aspect. Hello, this is my dog. She's kind of hiding. You want to go outside, and I have no one else to ask you to go outside. I have to step away and let my dog go outside. I apologize. But you all know what you need to do, yes? Now, as you continue to increase what will make your warrior pose more warriorly, I'm going to add an extra obstacle. Can you find ease? Because a nervous warrior really doesn't do a very good job. Can you sense your weight in your feet and your lower body? Can you open, I'm going to say, can you open your heart? But I always feel like that's kind of a strange instruction. Can you soften your heart? Can you allow your heart to smile? The front and the back, that's it. The left and the right. From the inside to the outside. Yeah, what changes in you as a warrior when you allow that change to happen? You're welcome to shift out of the pose on this side and try it again on the first side with those qualities. In a yoga class, we're always, or very often, instructed to press our legs and lift our chest, stretch our arms and make our gaze quite fierce. These are external adjustments. What adjustments can you make from the inside? So my suggestions here will be to soften your tongue, your shoulders, your throat, your belly, and your pelvic floor if you know where that is. Let your butt hang. Allow your legs to be the power that holds you up. Allow your heart to smile, front, back, left, right, top, and bottom, diagonals if you want to. And allow your skin to glow like a firefly. All of your skin glows. If you're asymmetrical, if you've done one side more than another side, please complete this cycle with symmetry. And those of you who don't feel like doing a full warrior pose now, because boy, that was a long time to hold the pose, can you do a micro pose? Can you do the smallest version that I can't even see? Can you do a whisper of a warrior pose inside you and still embody those qualities? Ease, strength in your lower body, softness through what we call the core, the throat, the eyes. Your warrior pose could be as small as this. Can you imagine yourself in a situation in which you need to, or would be helped by embodying this quality? We don't have to do the whole warrior pose in order to access the benefit of the pose itself. When you're even left side, right side, or satisfied, or feel successful with what you've inquired about, bring yourself back to your mountain pose, standing or sitting for a moment. How do you embody now ease, uprightness, fullness, presence, support, sensing, and safety at this time? And when you're ready, you're welcome to take a forward bend if you'd like, but it's time for us to lie down on the floor or on your bed into a relaxation pose, if you would. And there, I've already thrown that word relaxation, relax. So as you lie down, let's do the opposite. Tense whatever you can tense. Notice where you still have tension. And of course, you may need to fidget and move around a little bit here. If I ask you to relax and you don't know whether you're relaxed or not, then it's a dichotomy. It's an exercise in frustration. Notice, please, the quality of your breathing. Can your breath be even more easeful? Notice, please, the support. Sense the support of the surface on which you're resting. By sensing it, are you then able to relax more completely into it? If you're sitting, have your back up against the wall so that you have support. How does support create safety and ease? How does sensing give you the opportunity to choose? Notice the ingoing and the outgoing breath. Do less. And then do less again. Is that all right? If there's pushback, respect it. Do the amount of letting go that will serve you the best in this moment. And Fiona, I think we have maybe a minute or 2 minutes left. Is that right? So those of you who'd like to bring yourselves up for this last 2 minutes, those of you who'd like to rest, please rest. But those of you who have feedback or questions, I'd like to open the floor to you as participants about, and please be brief so that if other people would like to speak, they can. You're welcome to share any aspect of your experience that might be helpful. That you can take away or that others might benefit from. Welcome back. So as you come to sitting or bring yourself out of your shavasana, your relaxation, we have a few minutes to talk, but respect yourself as you bring yourselves out. Fiona said it's okay to chat a little bit over time. And you're welcome also to use the chat. So what can you, and you don't have to share necessarily, lots of Americans like to share, but lots of Brits tell me they hate sharing, so don't feel compelled to share just because I'm the teacher. So I'm hoping that you're coming off of this with Zeno's paradox practices, curiosity practices, sensing, support, safety, and also the opportunity that discomfort offers. Does that make sense? The opportunity that discomfort offers? Because in our relationship with discomfort, we can take that into a way to expand our expand our ability. Don't practice when it's easy. Don't just do Shavasana when you're feeling tired and relaxed, right? Do it when you feel terrible. Practice your warrior pose when you know that you're going into a situation where you're going to need it. Practice beforehand. Don't wait till that earthquake to try and relax yourself. That's what I'm saying. Thank you everyone for joining. You're welcome to unmute yourselves and speak. It's okay. Yes, Kay-Cherry, I saw a hand raised. Do unmute yourself, Kay-Cherry. You're still muted, Kay-Cherry. Yeah.